He thought I'd never open my mouth. For 2 years, I smiled through every lie he told, even the ones he whispered about me. But last Sunday, I sat across from him while everything he'd built started to unravel. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just told the truth. And the terrifying part is, he still doesn't know what's coming next. I still remember the exact second I saw that text. It was 3 a.m. on a random Wednesday. My phone buzzed against my nightstand, and when I squinted at the screen, I saw Trey's name. My boyfriend of 2 years. I thought maybe he couldn't sleep or wanted to send something cute. You know, the way couples do. But no. The message was short. Cold. I need space. We want different things. That was it. No call. No explanation. No conversation. Just a breakup text in the middle of the night like I was some inconvenience he could quietly remove from his life. We'd been planning to move in together after my lease ended in August. We'd already walked through apartments, debated over whether to get a sectional or a regular couch, even joked about who'd get the big closet. 2 weeks before that text, I had spent my savings on a gorgeous Tissot watch for our anniversary. He wore it like it was part of his skin. Took pictures of it. Showed it off. I thought it meant something. The next day, I tried calling him. Twice. I'll admit, part of me wanted answers. But another part? Wanted to mess with him. Both calls went straight to voicemail. Honestly, it made me laugh out loud. A grown man breaking up by text and then ghosting? Classy. I sent a few texts asking to talk, just to give him the chance to act like an adult. He didn't respond. When I checked his socials, he'd unfriended me on Facebook and locked down his Instagram like he was some kind of criminal mastermind covering his tracks. But oh, Trey is not nearly as clever as he thinks he is. Thursday morning at work, during coffee break, my coworker Yasmin leaned over my desk with this big grin. Look where Trey is right now. She held up her phone. It was his Instagram story. Location tag? Barcelona, Spain. The first video was of a fancy hotel room, 2 separate beds, crisp white sheets, expensive decor. The second clip? Breakfast for 2 cups of coffee, 2 plates of pastries. And then, Trey. Wearing my anniversary watch, smiling into the camera like he was living his best life. I froze for a second. Because I recognized that hotel. We'd bookmarked it together 6 months ago when we were planning a trip. That same trip we'd priced out to the dollar. $3,000 each. We'd spent weeks planning it. And now, he was there, without me. Yasmin kept scrolling like she was showing me a cute vacation. Next story, a blonde girl with a nose ring. Gemma. I knew her. She worked in his office. 22. I'd met her at his company holiday party last December. The last clip hit like a punch. Them at Park Güell. She was wearing the exact sundress I'd had sitting in my online cart for months, the one I never bought because it was $180 and felt too extra. He had his arm around her waist, the same way he used to hold me for photos. Yasmin looked at me, waiting for a reaction. I just forced a little smile and said, "Thanks for showing me," before walking back to my desk. My hands were shaking, but my brain? Sharp. I screenshotted everything before those stories disappeared and sent them to my best friend, Lina. He's such a clown, I texted her. And he was. He'd blocked me on Instagram but left everything public for everyone else. He thought he was being smooth. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. Then came Friday. I got a Venmo notification. Trey. $47. Description, gas money. Thanks. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. This man, this absolute joke of a human being, blocked me on everything except Venmo. While he was sipping espresso in Barcelona with Gemma, he thought I'd send him gas money. I called Lina. You're not going to believe this. He just Venmo requested me for gas money while he's on vacation with his side chick. We laughed until tears streamed down our faces. And honestly, I couldn't stop watching their stories. It was like a trashy reality show I didn't know I needed. Every post got more ridiculous. Rooftop restaurants, matching outfits, all at the exact spots Trey and I had pinned months earlier. Saturday evening, Gemma posted another story. She was wearing my watch. My beautiful, expensive watch. It dangled loosely on her tiny wrist like some awkward bracelet. I burst out laughing. She looked ridiculous. Sunday night, they flew back to Chicago. Trey posted a photo at O'Hare. Caption, back to reality. No watch on his wrist. I could already guess where it went. But Monday morning? That's when I hit gold. Gemma's Instagram highlights were wide open. I was scrolling through when I found a screenshot of her Venmo transaction. $1,847 to Trey. Description, Barcelona Fund. Timestamp, Tuesday, 11:23 p.m. 4 hours before he dumped me. This idiot left a paper trail. I screenshot it and sent it to Lina with about 10 crying laughing emojis. But Trey wasn't done humiliating himself. Exactly 1 week after that 3 a.m. breakup text, another Venmo request popped up. $23 this time. Coffee run, you know you want a hot beverage winking face. He used the same little emoji he used to send me when we were together. I stared at his smiling profile picture, the one where he was still wearing my watch, and started laughing so hard I had to set my phone down. This man actually thought I'd just keep being his personal ATM. But what Trey didn't know, I was already setting the stage. And when he came crawling back, because he was going to regret ever thinking he could play me, exactly 1 week after Mr. I Need Space sent that cowardly 3 a.m. breakup text, something in me snapped. This man had ignored my calls, dodged my messages, and had the nerve, the audacity, to Venmo request me for gas money while he was off playing European lovebirds with his side piece. Enough was enough. So I did something he clearly didn't expect. I called his office directly. I told the receptionist it was a personal matter regarding shared expenses. No hesitation. She transferred me right away, and when Trey picked up, I could hear it, papers shuffling, footsteps, a door closing. He was scrambling to find privacy. Hey, I can't really talk. I'm in meetings all day, he said with this fake little nervous laugh that made my skin crawl. Oh, really? I said sweetly. That's interesting, because it seems like you've had plenty of time for Instagram stories and Venmo requests. The silence that followed was pure gold. Then came the classic defensive script, we need to be mature about this breakup. That means giving each other space to process. I didn't even let him finish. Trey, I said, how about you explain Gemma and your little Barcelona trip? He had the balls to tell me I was imagining things. That Gemma was just a work friend who happened to be on vacation at the same time. Sure, buddy. I brought up the $1,847 Venmo payment with a timestamp 4 hours before his breakup text. And then, silence. I could practically hear him swallowing his excuses. Finally, he stammered, that was just me paying her back for team lunches. You know, over several months. I burst out laughing. I actually had to cover the phone because I was wheezing. Team lunches for $1,800? This man really thought I'd been born yesterday. He kept insisting I was connecting dots that weren't there and said my behavior was concerning. Right. Because catching someone red-handed is concerning. When I asked about my watch, he tried to sound casual. Oh, I forgot I was wearing it. I'll give it back soon. Forgot. As if a $400 Tissot watch just slips your mind. I told him plainly, I want it back by Friday. We're meeting in person to settle our stuff. He immediately said we'd have to meet somewhere public. Of course. Cowards love witnesses. Vivian gets involved. Wednesday afternoon, my sister Vivian called me like a hurricane. Apparently, word of Trey's little vacation had spread through our friend group like wildfire. Edgar saw Trey's stories, told his girlfriend, who told Vivian's roommate, who told Vivian. Small world, huh? But that wasn't even the best part. Edgar remembered something from a work happy hour back in January. Trey had apparently been complaining about how expensive I was. That was news to me, considering I was the one paying for most of our dates, bringing lunch to work to save money for his anniversary present, and covering all the little things he liked to pretend he paid for. Vivian lost it. She wanted to grab her keys and drive straight to his apartment. I had to physically talk her down because honestly, watching this man dig his own grave was way more satisfying than letting my sister go feral on him. She kept saying she'd never liked him anyway and always thought he was using me. Classic big sister move, but yeah, she wasn't wrong. The Gemma encounter. Thursday morning, Trey texted saying he wanted to reschedule our Friday meeting to Saturday because work was crazy. I replied, Friday. 6 p.m. coffee shop near your office. Or I can just swing by and chat with you at work. Funny how his schedule suddenly opened right up. But the real plot twist happened Thursday afternoon at Target. I was in the makeup aisle, minding my business, when guess who I locked eyes with? Gemma. She froze like a deer caught in headlights and tried to hide behind a foundation display. I swear, I almost laughed. I walked straight up to her. Hey, since we apparently have so much in common now, maybe we should talk. Her apology tumbled out before I could say anything else. She claimed she had no idea Trey had a serious girlfriend. Said she thought I was just some random date at the holiday party. Trey had told her we'd broken up months ago. I showed her the screenshot of her Venmo payment, timestamped 4 hours before my 3 a.m. breakup text. Her face drained of color. She whispered something about Trey saying he needed a vacation after ending a toxic relationship. Toxic relationship. He'd told this girl I was the problem while wearing my watch and using her money to fund their romantic getaway. I almost had to applaud the level of delusion. Gemma swore she never would have gone if she'd known. Said she felt so terrible. I looked her dead in the eye. Good. Keep feeling terrible. But this isn't about your guilt. It's about the fact that he's playing both of us. When I asked about my watch, she got twitchy. Apparently Trey told her it was a gift from his grandmother. This man took my anniversary present, gave it to another woman, and spun a sob story about dead relatives. But Gemma, bless her panicked little heart, gave me more useful info in 10 minutes than Trey did all week. She said he'd been plotting to ask for a promotion and thought dating someone in the office would improve his image. She also said he'd been hunting for luxury apartments way out of his price range and stressing about needing more money. The full picture. By Friday morning, I was done keeping quiet. I told Yasmin everything, how he dumped me over text, how Gemma was dragged into it, how he was living some fake Instagram fantasy. She was horrified. She'd honestly had no idea when she showed me those Barcelona stories that she was showing me evidence of cheating. That night, I called Vivian again. We went through everything, every weird comment Trey had made over the past few months. How he'd been asking about my savings. How he seemed way too curious about whether my parents would help with a down payment. How he'd pushed me to find a higher paying job. The puzzle pieces finally clicked into place. Trey didn't just need space to find himself. He'd been strategically planning his escape, mapping out how to upgrade his life while keeping me around as his financial safety net. But what Trey didn't realize was that the moment he sent that pathetic breakup text, he handed me the shovel. And I was about to start digging. The Barcelona trip wasn't some whimsical, spur-of-the-moment getaway. No. It was a calculated trial run, a carefully planned little audition with someone who, in his mind, could upgrade his life. Someone who could open doors for his career and keep his wallet fat in ways he apparently believed I couldn't. By the time Friday rolled around, I was done being polite. I sat at that coffee shop, hands wrapped around a warm mug, watching the minutes tick past. 5, 10, 15, and then, there he was. Trey strolled in, 15 minutes late, wearing his usual smug expression but with that twitch in his jaw I knew too well. He didn't even bother with a hello. He slid into the seat across from me like he was walking into a scripted breakup scene. And then came his little performance. "Look," he started, voice rehearsed and calm, "I think we both know we want different things. And I really believe we'll be happier with other people." I just sat there. Let him get through every line of his monologue like a man who's practiced it in the mirror. When he finally ran out of words, I didn't say a thing. I just picked up my phone and started scrolling. Then I turned the screen toward him. Screenshot after screenshot. The Barcelona photos. Gemma's Venmo payment. His Instagram stories. Everything. His face went pale, then red. "Are you stalking me?" he snapped. "You're violating my privacy by screenshotting my public posts." The mental gymnastics were impressive, honestly. When I calmly brought up my conversation with Gemma, he completely lost his composure. "She had no right to talk to you about our private business," he barked. I tilted my head. "Our private business? You mean the trip you funded with her money while you were still with me?" Then came the gaslighting. Oh, the textbook gaslighting. I asked him straight up, "Were you planning this for weeks?" And this man, this absolute clown, looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're being paranoid. You're making up conspiracy theories." When I brought up what Gemma told me about him claiming we'd broken up months ago, he didn't even flinch. Just shrugged and said she must have misunderstood because she's young and dramatic. Of course. Blame the 22-year-old for your own lies. Classic Trey. Then I asked for my watch. He claimed he left it at home. How convenient. "Okay," I said, standing up a little straighter, "then I'll wait while you go get it." He stumbled over his words. I can't. I have dinner with my parents tonight. They're expecting me." I smiled. "Do they know about your Barcelona vacation and your new girlfriend?" The silence was all the answer I needed. For 20 more minutes, we went in circles, him deflecting, me presenting receipts. He kept trying to dance his way out of it, but every time he opened his mouth, I slammed another fact down like a card on a table. Finally, I leaned in and said, "You have until Sunday to return my watch and figure out how you're going to handle this like an adult. If not, I will." I grabbed my bag and stood to leave. That's when he actually had the nerve, the gall, to ask, "Are you going to pay me back for that Venmo request? You know, for the coffee?" I turned around and just laughed. I didn't even bother responding. That night, I was pacing my apartment, venting to Vivian about the dumpster fire that was that conversation. And that's when she dropped a bombshell. Apparently, her friend Justin works in HR at a company that partners with Trey's firm. Vivian told him a little bit about the situation, no names at first, and Justin immediately said there'd been rumors swirling about inappropriate office relationships at Trey's company. Nothing official, but enough noise that HR was paying attention. Suddenly, everything clicked. Trey wasn't just a selfish little jerk who thought he could juggle two women. He was playing with fire. And if there's one thing men like him fear more than being caught in a lie, it's their professional reputation going up in flames. Sunday came and went. No text. No call. No watch. Then Monday morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls and 2 voicemails from unknown numbers. The first voicemail was Trey, using what was clearly his friend's phone, voice tight with panic. "Please call me back. We really need to talk. It's important." The second was Trey again, from another number. "I have your watch. I just need to explain something first. Please." I could hear the desperation dripping from every word. This wasn't the smug, untouchable Trey from last week. This was a man realizing his carefully constructed little house of lies had a few too many cracks. And me? I just smiled, put my phone down, and poured myself some coffee. Because Wednesday's conversation? Oh, it's going to be very interesting. I honestly thought I'd prepared myself for this. You guys told me to expect the worst, and I thought I had. But no amount of mental preparation could have braced me for the level of audacity this man unleashed. So, Wednesday. Same coffee shop. Different energy. I parked out front and watched him pace up and down the sidewalk for 10 whole minutes before I even stepped out of my car. He looked nervous, hands jammed in his pockets, shoulders tight, but I wasn't about to give him the satisfaction of thinking I cared. The second I walked up, he launched straight into this overly rehearsed speech. "I just want to thank you for agreeing to meet. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, Anne." I cut him off. "Trey, spare me the gratitude monologue. I'm here for 2 things, my watch and an explanation for why you thought Venmo requesting me for coffee while frolicking around Europe was remotely okay." His face tightened, but then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a tiny jewelry box. He set it on the table between us like he was gifting me something. My watch. My own property. He actually presented it like he was doing me some kind of favor. Then came his carefully crafted fairy tale. According to Trey, the Barcelona trip was complicated. Gemma had apparently planned it for months, and when her travel buddy bailed, she invited him as a friend. He claimed he said yes because he needed perspective on our relationship since we'd been having problems. "When were we having problems, Trey?" I asked. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "I didn't want to hurt your feelings." Oh, how thoughtful. He spared my feelings by flying to Spain with another woman. He swore nothing romantic happened until after we officially broke up, which, to be clear, was 4 hours after she sent him almost $2,000. What a gentleman. Then I brought up the watch. He got defensive fast. She admired it during the trip, he said. She forgot to bring jewelry, so I let her wear it temporarily. I stared at him. Temporarily? You mean, the $400 watch I bought you for our anniversary? The one you gave to another woman and pretended came from your grandmother? He swallowed hard. Claimed he never intended for her to keep it and got it back the moment he realized I was upset. Right. I then hit him with the Gemma question. Why did you tell her we broke up months ago and that I was your toxic ex? His face flushed beet red. He started tripping over his words. She must have misunderstood. She's young. She can be dramatic. So now the 22-year-old is to blame for his lies. When I mentioned that I had direct quotes from her, his agitation spiked. She's clearly trying to cause drama between us, he snapped, as if us still existed. Every time I dropped a fact, he responded with some elaborate explanation that technically wasn't impossible, but was obviously absolute garbage. Then he said something that made me want to scream and laugh at the same time. The Venmo requests, they were just my way of staying in touch. I miss talking to you. Let that sink in. This man thought sending me payment requests for gas money and coffee was some kind of romantic communication strategy. And then it hit me. Hard. I started remembering every single time over the past 6 months he'd asked me for money. $800 for urgent car repairs. $450 for his share of a bachelor party. $320 for emergency dental work. $600 to help his parents cover their mortgage. And every single time, there was some perfectly reasonable, urgent, sympathetic excuse. Every single time, I transferred the money without question. Because that's what you do for someone you love. Someone you trust. I never once asked for proof. Never once questioned why his emergencies always seemed to line up with my paydays. So I asked him, out loud, Trey, how much money have I given you in the past year? For the first time all night, he looked uncomfortable. His hands fidgeted. His voice cracked. Those were loans, he said. I always planned to pay you back once things stabilized. Really? I said softly. Because not once, did you ever talk about paying me back. You just took the money, disappeared, and came back with another crisis. He shrugged helplessly. I thought you understood. But here's where the mask fully slipped. Gemma had told me, during that awkward Target encounter, that Trey was incredibly generous during their trip. She said he insisted on paying for everything, flights, meals, little luxuries, despite her offering to split. He'd even bought her parents expensive gifts the weekend before, a $400 bottle of wine and a designer handbag. I did the math right there at the table. All the emergencies, all the Venmo transfers, every dollar that quietly left my account to help him. Nearly $3,000. $3,000. I'd been funding his lifestyle while he was playing sugar daddy to someone else. And as I watched him squirm across that tiny cafe table, shifting in his seat and trying to spin more lies, something inside me went cold. Not sad. Not even angry. Just sharp. Focused. Because this man didn't just break my heart. He tried to make me his bank. And oh, he has no idea what's coming next. When I finally brought up the money, Trey's entire demeanor changed. 1 second he was trying to charm his way through another excuse, the next he was sitting rigid, his jaw tight, voice just a little too loud. He immediately went on the defensive. You're trying to make normal relationship support sound sinister, he said, like I was the one in the wrong. He went on about how couples help each other financially, and how it was petty of me to keep track of every dollar. I stared at him. Trey, what's petty, I said slowly, is lying about fake emergencies to get money out of someone while whining and dining another woman. He blinked hard. That's not what happened. You're twisting things. I reminded him that Gemma's parents got their fancy gifts the exact same week he'd cried poor and said he needed dental money. His face tightened, and suddenly I was the villain. He accused me of being vindictive, of trying to ruin his life over what he called misunderstandings about money. Misunderstandings? I shot back. You begged for cash under false pretenses while planning a romantic trip funded by your coworker. He started doing that thing he always does when he's cornered, talking faster, getting louder, throwing out words like bigger picture and space as if those vague phrases could erase facts. Then he dropped the line that made me want to laugh out loud. We had problems in our relationship. That's the real issue here. So I asked him, what problems? Because let's be clear, this man had never once brought up any relationship issue before this week. And suddenly, like he'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror, he started listing things I'd never heard him complain about. I was too controlling, because I like to plan things in advance. I was too expensive, because I enjoyed nice restaurants sometimes. I was too serious, because I talked about our future. Everything he listed were things he had actively encouraged while we were together. He was the one who begged me to make plans. He was the one who picked half those restaurants. He was the one who said he wanted to build a future together. But the cherry on top? Hearing this man, who had been mooching off me for months, call me expensive. The cognitive dissonance was breathtaking. Then he really tried it. He claimed he'd been feeling trapped for months, but didn't know how to bring it up because I wouldn't have listened. So I asked for one example. Just one time when I supposedly ignored his concerns. He couldn't name a single moment. Not one. Instead, he said, you should have known. You should have known I was unhappy. And that's when I realized, this man genuinely believed healthy relationships run on mind reading. I shot back, healthy relationships also don't involve lying about emergencies to bleed your partner dry, Trey. And of course, he snapped. You're being manipulative by bringing up the financial stuff. I never asked you for that money. I pulled out my phone, opened the Venmo app, and tilted the screen toward him. One by one, I scrolled through every single transaction. You literally did. 2 hours. 2 exhausting, circular hours of him denying, deflecting, rewriting history, twisting my words. When it was clear he'd rather drown in his own lies than tell the truth, I stood up, picked up my watch, and said calmly, I never want to see you again. That should have been the end of it. But as I turned toward my car, he grabbed my arm. Hard. The world narrowed to a single second. I turned slowly, locked eyes with him, and said evenly, if you ever touch me again without my permission, the next conversation we have will be in front of a police officer. He instantly backed off, hands in the air like I'd set off an alarm. I didn't mean anything by it, I'm just frustrated, he babbled. I didn't look back. I walked to my car, hands shaking, not because I was scared. Because I was done. That night, I called my parents. I needed to talk to people who knew me before Trey. My mom answered, and the moment she heard my voice, she said softly, what happened? I told her everything. Every manipulative sentence, every excuse, every twisted justification. She listened quietly, then asked one question that hit me straight in the chest. Do you really believe this behavior came out of nowhere, or were there signs you ignored because you wanted it to work? I didn't even have to answer. We both knew. There had been signs. So many little cracks I'd brushed aside, because I was in love. Because I believed him. My dad got on the phone next. What are you going to do? He asked. I admitted I didn't know. Part of me wanted to scorch the earth and expose everything. Part of me just wanted to vanish this chapter from my life like it never happened. He reminded me gently, moving on doesn't mean letting people get away with things. Sometimes closure comes from making sure they face the consequences they earned. But sleep didn't come that night. Because one thing Gemma had said at Target kept replaying in my head, Trey had been bragging to her about how responsible he was with money. Talking about cutting unnecessary expenses and improving his savings rate. Meanwhile, I was the unnecessary expense. Thursday morning, I woke up to 5 text messages from Trey. All sent between 2 o'clock and 4 a.m. An apology for grabbing my arm. I'd never hurt you on purpose. A long sob story about stress, work, family, pressure. A confession that he still had feelings for me. The bombshell, Barcelona was a mistake. I was trying to convince myself I liked Gemma because I was scared of committing to you. And finally, would you consider couples therapy or taking a break to work on ourselves? I just sat there, phone in hand, staring at the messages. This man gaslit me, used me financially, humiliated me publicly, lied through his teeth, and 4 hours after calling me expensive, wanted couples counseling. Trey's about to learn something very important. I'm not his safety net. I'm the storm he didn't see coming, this man, this absolute joke of a man, who dumped me at 3 a.m. with a breakup text and then immediately flew to Europe with another woman, was now texting me at 2 a.m. asking if we could work on us. When I showed those messages to Vivian, she didn't even flinch. She scrolled through them like she was grading a bad essay. Do you notice, she said, tapping the screen, that every single one of these is about him? What he wants. How he feels. What he regrets. There's not a single line here about how he hurt you. She was right. His apologies weren't apologies, they were excuses dressed up in soft language. Everything was either a mistake, a misunderstanding, or someone else's fault. Nothing was ever just him taking responsibility like an adult. Then Friday afternoon, my mom called me. She sounded hesitant. Honey, she said, have you heard from Trey's parents lately? Apparently, Trey's mother had called my mother asking if there was anything they should know about why Trey had been so upset lately. She said he'd been acting strange ever since his vacation. My mom, bless her endlessly diplomatic soul, kept things polite and neutral. She simply said, they broke up. It might be best to talk to him directly about what's going on in his life. But then came the kicker. Trey's mom casually mentioned that they'd been expecting to meet Gemma soon, because Trey had told them he was dating someone new from work. She even said Gemma might be joining them for Sunday dinner. Let that sink in. This man was telling me he wanted couples counseling, while introducing his rebound girlfriend to his parents. That's when everything snapped into focus. Trey wasn't just lying to me. He was lying to everyone. To his parents, he was a guy moving on with a sweet new girlfriend. To Gemma, he was probably her serious new partner, the guy who paid for trips and bought gifts for her family. To me, he was the confused ex who needed time, space, and, apparently, another round of emotional labor from me to fix what he broke. And to his job? He was under quiet investigation for possibly violating company policies with his little office romance. This wasn't just manipulation. This was strategy. Trey was running multiple stories in parallel, trying to keep all the plates spinning while pretending he was the victim of bad timing. But then I remembered something Gemma had said during our Target encounter, the detail I'd brushed past in the moment. She'd mentioned that Trey had talked about asking his parents for help with a security deposit on a new apartment. Of course. The same parents who probably had no idea he'd already drained thousands of dollars from me for fake emergencies. The same parents who thought their son was a responsible, charming young man dating a lovely new woman. The house of cards was wobbling. And here's the thing about guys like Trey, they think they're playing chess. They think everyone around them is just another pawn. But what he didn't realize was that I'd been funding the entire board this whole time. Sunday dinner with his parents was going to be delicious. Because I had a feeling no one in that room, not his parents, not Gemma, not even Trey himself, was ready for how brutally the truth was about to land. Part 4 is going to be epic. Reddit. I'm typing this with the biggest smile on my face. This man, this lying, manipulative, gaslighting clown, got exactly what he deserved. You've all been waiting for this ending, and trust me, it delivered. I couldn't have scripted it better if I tried. Grab a snack. This is the kind of story that needs dramatic music and a slow clap at the end. The calm before the chaos. Saturday night, I was sitting on my couch going back and forth in my head, do I just block him and move on, or do I actually do something about all the lies he spun? That's when Vivian called me. Her friend Justin, the one who works in HR at a company that partners with Trey's firm, had some very interesting news. Apparently, a formal complaint had been filed about an employee violating workplace relationship policies and expense reports. And guess whose Barcelona trip was at the center of it? Yep, Mr. I Need Space. Suddenly, all his panicked little, don't make things worse, messages made perfect sense. He wasn't just scared of gossip. He was scared of losing his job. And that's when I decided, oh no, sweetheart. You're not getting away with this one. Sunday dinner showdown. Sunday afternoon, I drove to Trey's parents' house. I knew Gemma would be there for their big, family dinner introduction. I didn't have some master revenge plan, just a very clear goal, tell the truth to everyone in that room. Trey's mom opened the door, surprised but warm. Oh, it's so good to see you, she said. She led me into the living room, and there they were. Trey and Gemma on the couch, looking all coupley while his dad asked about her job. The look on Trey's face when he saw me? Priceless. Pure terror. You could practically hear his internal Windows error sound. His parents were all smiles, chatting like everything was perfectly normal. That's when I realized, he'd told them we'd broken up months ago. I sat down. I think there's some confusion about the timeline, I said calmly. Trey actually broke up with me 2 weeks ago. At 3 a.m. Over text. Then flew to Barcelona with Gemma the same day. Trey started sputtering. That's not, she's confused about the dates. I pulled out my phone like a lawyer unveiling Exhibit A, the breakup text, Instagram stories, Venmo transactions, him wearing my watch. Gemma's face went pale. She finally saw the actual timeline, and realized he'd lied to her, too. Receipts meet parents. Then I explained everything. How he'd asked me for $800 for emergency car repairs, $450 for a bachelor party, $320 for dental work, $600 to help with his parents' mortgage. His dad stood up so fast the chair scraped against the floor. What the hell are you talking about? He barked. I was never between jobs. We didn't need help with the mortgage. Trey shrank deeper into the couch. His mom's voice was shaking when she asked, dental work? What dental work? When I showed her the text where he begged for money, she just shook her head, whispering, this can't be real. Then Gemma, bless her stunned heart, said, he bought my parents expensive gifts before our trip. Wine for my dad. A designer bag for my mom. His mom's eyes snapped to him. Where did you get money for expensive gifts when you told us you needed $1,200 for a deposit because you were broke? The temperature in the room dropped. His dad's voice boomed, so you've been taking money from everyone, us, her, while funding your little office romance? Trey opened his mouth. His dad shut him down. Don't you dare speak right now. We raised you better than this. The house of cards falls. His mom started crying. How could you look me in the eye and lie to me like that? Trey started with his usual routine. It's just misunderstandings, bad timing. His dad exploded. Misunderstandings? You stole money from people who love you. That's not bad timing, that's theft. Gemma kept asking him questions. Every answer contradicted the last. His mom's voice grew sharper, angrier. Why did you need money for things that never happened? Why didn't you tell us you could afford trips? He tried to turn it on me. She's obsessed. She just wants to ruin my life. His dad slammed his fist on the table. She's the only one telling the truth here. You lied to everyone in this room and you're blaming her? His mom stood up, tears streaming. I don't even know who you are anymore. The son I raised wouldn't steal from his family. Trey tried to say it wasn't stealing, just borrowing. His dad shot back, then when were you going to pay it back? Trey didn't have an answer. Gemma's voice broke when she asked, how much of what we had was real? Trey gave some nonsense about emotions not following money rules. His mom snapped, stop making excuses. The end of his empire. For an hour, they shredded every lie he'd built. His dad pacing. His mom crying. Gemma quietly realizing the guy she thought she was dating was a scam artist in a button-up shirt. Finally, his mom said, get out. Do not come back until you can look us in the eye and tell the full truth. His dad added, we're done giving you a cent. You're paying everyone back, every single dollar. Gemma stood up, grabbed her bag, and walked out without a word. His parents told him to pack his things and leave. Outside, Trey followed me. You ruined my life over money and misunderstandings. I turned to him and said, no. You ruined your life. I just brought receipts. The fallout. Monday morning, Gemma texted me, thank you. I feel sick realizing how much of what he spent on me wasn't even his. Tuesday, Yasmin told me Trey had been put on leave from work pending investigation for violating company policy and expense report fraud. Wednesday, my mom called. Trey's parents had been going through bank records. The total? Over $5,500 in loans and gifts they'd given him. Plus the nearly $3,000 he took from me. $8,500. Gone. His parents have lawyered up. They want their money back. And they want consequences. The text stopped. The begging stopped. My phone has been gloriously silent. Epilogue. Trey is now 27 years old, living back under his parents' roof. They're making him pay rent, get a retail job, and show receipts for every dollar he spends. The man who thought he was the smartest person in the room is now explaining his target receipts to his dad. He wanted to find himself. Well, congratulations, Trey. You found out exactly what happens when you try to scam the people who trusted you. And me? I've never slept better.